Okay, so let me get rid of this. I don't need any of that. So hit program in your calculators. And you don't have to do it now because I'm making the recording. But if you want to try to follow along, you can. It's not an overwhelmingly complicated process. So hit the right arrow to new and create new. And really all we care about is 3 dimensions. So, and even if it were in 2 dimensions, for the 3rd dimension, you just put in 0. So it's perfectly fine either way. But we'll call this magnitude. But you can't write the whole word because you don't have enough characters to work with. So just call it mag or something like that. And then hit enter. When you're satisfied with the title of your program, hit enter. If you need to make changes to the title of the program, it's not impossible. It's just kind of a pain. So it's not something I'm going to go over with the entire group. If anybody has an issue with the title of their program, talk to me and I'll show you how to fix it. So hit enter. It basically involves you writing a brand new program, but then pasting the old program into the new program. So you're not really editing it, right? You're kind of starting from scratch, sort of, right? So what I wanted to do is actually prompt the values that make up the vector, right? Now, since you are creating this program, you know what it's for. So there's no question of like, I need to give instructions on how to use the program because it's your program, right? You're creating it, so you know what it's for. So I'm just going to select prompt. So program, IO, option 2. And I'm going to have it prompt the X, Y, and Z values. All right? Because I want it to ask me what are the components that it wants to find, that I want it to find the magnitude of. So X, Y, and Z. You could use the regular key for the X, but I'm going to use alpha store, alpha Y, alpha 1, and alpha 2. All right. Whatever we put it, when it prompts us for the value of X, whatever we type in, it's going to store that in for the value of X. All right. So whatever X was before is going to get overwritten. But that's not a problem because X is usually defaulting to 0 anyway. All right. So it now has the values. What I want it to do is actually compute the magnitude, which is the sum of the squares under the radical. So the square root. So I'm just writing this, x squared. So very easy program because the formula that I'm putting in is not challenging. But there's a lot of things in life that are not challenging. It doesn't mean I want to do it. That's the whole idea. The program is going to take a menial task and make it so that I don't have to worry about it. I'm fine with that. It's mowing the lawn. I can do it. Doesn't mean I want to. It's not hard. All right? So I'm going to store this in as some dummy variable. All right? A. Doesn't matter. And then hit enter. So the store key is right above on. It's STO with the sideways arrow. But for whatever reason, when you hit that STO with the sideways arrow, it just brings up the arrow. I mean, it's nicer that it's just the arrow, but you kind of like it when the key corresponds to what comes up on the screen, generally. But we want to store it in there because if you run the program without doing these next couple of steps, it'll ask you what X, Y, and Z is, and then compute what the magnitude is. But it'll never tell you. It would be like me asking you a question, and then you nodding at me, and then walking away. And I say, well, aren't you going to answer the question? Well, you asked me a question. You never told me to tell you the answer to the question. I'm like, well, don't be literal, crying out loud. It was implied. There's nothing implied when you're writing a program. All right? So I wanted to display what the magnitude is. So I'm going to hit Program, IO. Option 3 is Display. Now, again, since you know what this program is for, you don't really need to do anything more than just call up A, have it display A. But I'm going to do a little bit more because maybe I'll forget. I don't know. I'm not gonna, but you never know. So, but I also want to show you this next part. So I'm going to say magnitude equals. So the quotes are right above the plus sign. You hit alpha plus to bring up a quote. If you hit second alpha, it puts on an alpha lock so that you can type a bunch of values. So MAG, you could just write mag, colon. I like a little space. End quotes. And then hit the alpha key again to unlock it. So now it's regular functionality. Comma. Otherwise it'll bring up a J if I have the alpha lock on. So it'll display the string mag, comma, and then I'm going to select alpha math, so A. All right. And then by hitting enter, that's locked in. There is no save button, which kind of is good and bad. Mostly bad, a little bit good. Because you can't forget to save something if there's no save option, because it's already getting saved. But it's bad because if I go back there and hit clear on a line, it's going to wipe out the whole thing and there's no undo button. All right, so you just got to be careful. But once you're good, don't hit clear for the love of everything that's holy. Hit second mode, quit out of there. All right, once you hit quit, it's locked in and you don't have to worry about accidentally making a mistake and deleting something or wiping out an entire row. All right, if anything, when you're in the editor, never hit clear. If anything, hit delete, because delete will just take one character out. Clear is going to take out an entire row. All right. So then to run the program, so this one we had 1, -1, and 0. So I'm going to hit program. Under execute, I have magnitude. I just called up the program, magnitude. Hit enter. It's going to ask me for the x value, again, is 1. The y value, -1. Go to, what did I screw up? Okay. It helps to actually type the 1 after the negative. And then the z value of 0. And so I got that value there, which is the square root of 2. Now you'd be like, well, I want the radical. I'm like, yeah, so do I. Okay. Just square it. You took the square root of a value in the process. So whatever you get is going to be the square root of something. You want to know what that is? Square it. All right? And that's all there is to it. All right? So you'll get the decimal value, square it if you want the actual radical value. And then and just make sure you put a radical over it. Don't just write the number 2, but that would be it. All right? So it's a simple program, nothing too crazy, but you can think like any plug and chug type formula that you could think of, you could write a program fairly easily for that. Most of the time I start off like with the quadratic formula. Like let's write a program for the quadratic formula. It's the same thing, prompt A, B, and C. Then you plug in the quadratic formula and then you just have it display whatever the roots are. All right, but just think about any formula that you've learned. Odds are you could do something very similar to this. All right, so Windows, Shift,